We have already talked about the negotiator's behavior post-agreement and best practice to avoid non-compliance. But what happens if, even so, one negotiator does not comply with the signed agreement? If there are no clear rules or laws punishing non-compliance, the most common outcome is the agreement suspension, disobliging all the negotiation parties to comply. This would mean be back to square one, to a scenario that could be even worse than if the negotiation had never existed. An example from history. At the end of the First World War, in 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed between the winner countries and Germany. Besides the cession of some territories, Germany committed to pay a large sum of money to the winners as war reparations. 20 years after the treaty was signed, the Second World War began, broader and deadlier. And one of the factors that contributed to the outbreak of this war was precisely the treaty that ended the first one. In a simplified way, one could say that the treaty's terms were hard to comply with, and the non-compliance was difficult to be penalized. In negotiations in general, the negotiator's good behavior and compliance must be stimulated and reinforced. One of the factors that contribute to this goal is the agreement's feasibility, that is, what was agreed is really possible to be done under the moment's circumstances. If not, the agreement becomes merely a statement of good intentions. In simple negotiations, the agreement's non-compliance leads to limitations in future agreements. For example, a buyer who has not paid for a product or service will lose the credit for future purchases. There are cases of agreed rules continually disobeyed, but due to exceptional circumstances, must continue to be negotiated. For example, war ceasefire negotiations. Often, these agreements are temporary and don't lead directly to a peace agreement. But if the established negotiation process and the agreement compliance could be more predictable, these negotiations eventually may contribute to the creation of minimum conditions to a future peace agreement. We'll continue in the next video